My name is Greg Kuebler. I'm the principal UX designer at SingularityNET. So, as a UX designer, usually the UX designer is someone who's like creating the UI, the user flows, using user testing data to design the complicated aspects of the projects that Singularity is involved with, which includes the platform. So I've been with Singularity for about 2 years. My first year, we basically started with the platform where they kind of built up the proof of concept in general. And then I came in and was doing the evaluation of like, so how do we build this with like more UX centric focus and abilities to make it scalable for future for both the tech and the design. So, so as a UX designer, I came in and I work with multiple teams all across the world with Singularity. So with the platform team, for example, that's Ram's team in Bangalore. So I work a lot on a day, pretty much every day with that team building and scaling and designing and testing and doing all the kind of feature additions that we've been doing over the past 2 years with the platform. So, and I also work with other team members across the world in Ethiopia, in Brazil, in Europe, and sometimes the U.S. And I'm actually based in Taiwan right now. When I first started with Singularity, I was based in Shenzhen, China, Shenzhen, China / Hong Kong, from time to time. So that's where I function out of. So the team in India is a good time zone for me. So usually I can start working with them around at noon my day. So Singularity has been working remotely before the pandemic and also during the pandemic. So we're kind of used to working remotely with the different disciplines of the company. So the AI scientists are all over the world, and a lot of tech team is in Asia and in India. So with the time zone differences, we got used to working remotely in a methodical way. It's not always easy. I know a lot of companies during the pandemic was trying to figure out how to work remotely with a full remote workforce. Singularity's foundation and the teams are really good at that already. So, and it takes practice, obviously. And it's a different way to work than going into an office from day to day, which I do miss sometimes. But working remotely is also, when you're working with a brilliant team across Singularity, it works really well because everybody's well disciplined and and it doesn't need much management necessarily because everybody's good at what they do and applies it within the team effort pretty well. So you see my screen here. I'm the designer, so I'm going to go walk through some of the platform and the projects that we've been doing over the past year. Like I said, when I first started, it was just one kind of website, which was the AI marketplace. It was more of a proof of concept. So it was like how to turn this proof of concept into a full scale platform with different sites and components that affect different types of users. So what you're familiar with is probably, as you can see on my screen here, I'm going to shrink down my recording a little bit, this is the AI marketplace. Now, as it evolved quite a bit over time, I could probably show you it's not necessarily to show you what it looked like, the proof of concept, but it's massively different. So the AI marketplace is just one component, one little product of the platform. We also have the publisher portal, which we also designed and released about a year ago as well. We also have AGI staking, which is another component for people who want to stake their AGI and earn extra AGI or etc. rewards. And we also have the RFAI, which is request for AI. We also built that, and we also built the dev portal, which allows both the users of the AI marketplace and the developers, platform developers, AI developers, and everybody basically allow AI developers to publish their AI on blockchain. So all these are connected, but they're all obviously from a UX design standpoint, which UX stands for user experience, by the way. So the different user types use each one of these in different ways. So designing a platform is actually a very complicated process. So when I first started, we started with the AI marketplace, and basically it was taking that proof of concept that was having AI services on the blockchain, then be able to interface into this website that everybody can have access to or try out per se, with certain demo credits or AGI credits or whatever functions they were trying to do as far as integrate the AI. So when we first, there was not any really major designers on the team, so I was basically the only one, but eventually we hired some people in India. So I have a UX designer in India, his name is Sujith, and he's been working with me hand in hand on building a design system. So we built a whole design system for this platform, and that's what we did from the beginning, because we knew we need to not just work on one project, skip over and kind of create a different look and feel or function on another one. Now the products will function differently, but the look and feel should be unified so that users who interact with multiple parts of the platform will be familiar with the aspects of the interface. So it's not like jarring or, so it's familiar. So we started with a design system. Now with our design team, or me and Sujith and a few other people, we use Sketch. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it's a good software that designers across the world and agencies and corporate 500 companies or small companies and startups use as well. Allows you to, and Sketch looks like this. I'll show you what Sketch looks like. So let me get a different project. So this is the AI marketplace. So this is a Sketch. Sketch is a good design software that has tested the time pretty well, and it's pretty much industry standard. I do use Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator, but I don't use that for design of the UI necessarily, because it's not really geared towards that. I don't use Adobe XD either. I'm not a big fan of XD right now, but I hear it's good and people are starting to use it, or designers, when I say people, designers are starting to kind of gravitate more towards that software. But I use Sketch. So what's good about Sketch is it has library components and design elements that allows us to scale the design system across all the projects, all the products. And we use Sketch, and then I use it in coordination with Envision. So let me show you Envision. Envision looks like this, and Envision, go to envision.com. We use Envision to publish our designs into clickable prototypes that people and our stakeholders and my bosses and Ben and Cassio and other people on the team can like see and test, and especially for the tech team to kind of play around with. So with this Envision, I have 4 projects here, and you can check out one of them, I guess AI Marketplace one. So with this tool allows us to basically, just see if we can start somewhere. It's a good starting point. So with this, it pulls up the design, and it's similar to the website now, but basically allows us to mock up and see it on how it's going to be viewed at certain grid sizes and scales. And we have clickable areas, so we have the menu kind of clickable. This is not live on the website, but this is the Envision prototype. So it allows us to kind of test this out, go to different pages and see how that kind of works. And also with Envision, it allows our developers to pull code from our designs that was uploaded from Sketch. So here's inspect mode for Envision, which allows our developers to pull the styles, the buttons, all that kind of stuff, so they can get the specs. So if I double click a button, for example, I can get the styles and code snippets for this so that they can get the specs from it. So that's how we transition our designs. We don't just like send them images all day, every day. That would be a lot of work for just a few designers and obviously excessive amount of work for the developers. But with the developers, they can just come here and break down and grab, if they need this image, download all formats. So we format all the images for low res mobile all the way up to desktop to high resolution, so that, you know, when passing assets, it's even done through Envision. So we don't have to do like emails or crazy amount of links to Google Drive or Dropbox. So here you can pull the content directly. They can grab the text. So if we grab here, so they get all the styles of this text, including the text content itself. So with this, it's a very powerful tool with a combination of Sketch and Envision. It's a lightweight, it's cheap software. Adobe is expensive, but we still use Adobe to master some illustrations and things like that. But for interface and for review and testing, we even use Envision for testing. So we might send this out to a beta test user group and have them click through this. And we can gather their comments. They can add comments and say, I don't like this, or I don't like that, or we can actually see how they're flowing through the various flows. So that's what a very important part of Singularity's platform is, testing the flows, because it's a very complicated platform, because it's on the blockchain, it's using AI, it's very futuristic in a lot of the elements of how you integrate and how people buy or sell or view AI in general. So so we need tools like Envision and Sketch and other aspects to develop these flows and styles and systems, the design system. So we first started with the AI marketplace. We built the design system. Design system is kind of like back here. I can show you a little bit of component of the design system. So we have like all the different buttons, all the fields, and we use these kind of components or symbols and these styles all across all the products, because it's mostly reusable. So if we build a pattern for the AI marketplace, we use some of it for the publisher. And some of the publisher is a little more complicated interface because it's dealing with different kind of inputs and outputs, but the UI is using the same elements. And so we borrow various atoms or molecules of the UI onto the publisher. So it's a very efficient system, and also allows for other designers who come later on the project or get hired, or if I'm too busy on a project, I can give the sketch files or versus some of the UI elements to another designer in another part of the world, and they can pick up for where I left off. So we built basically a design system, and we use Google Material here at Singularity Foundation, so the SingularityNET. So we adopted the Google Material because we chose that because we were using React in some cases, and their Material UI was pretty ubiquitously good and stable. So, and it's also a pattern that works well with desktop or desktop applications, but also for mobile, because we also know the future of Singularity has mobile applications here and there. We haven't launched a few of those yet, but we're soon to launch at least the Rejuve app and a few other apps. So some of my projects scale from doing this platform, also building mobile apps for other parts of the spin-offs of Singularity, such as Rejuve, or potentially other spin-offs like NewNets that you might have seen earlier in another video cast by Marcello. But so we build a design system. We use Google Material guide principles. So it's like if you just Google Material design system or design, you'll get their website, and it's really a principle of basic. It's a guide of principles of UX. So I adopted because it met all the kind of the challenges and aspects that I've learned through the UX through the years of working in fintech and media and academia. So it was very scalable, and also it was a system that they were progressively updating and adding more support for complicated dashboard and desktop applications as well, versus some of the other design systems or principles like Samsung One or whatever, or Atom and the Atomizer. They were more sometimes focused on one niche like a desktop application or just mobile, and we needed a system that could do everything and be around, right? Because sometimes there's some cool stuff coming out in the design world, but sometimes it only lasts for a year or two or a couple, and then without like added changes or evolving, because the internet evolves, the web evolves, the protocols evolve, the blockchain evolves, the AI evolves. So like everything evolves. So the design system has to kind of be flexible to a certain degree. And we've adapted parts of Google material, not fully, but we made our own changes. So some of it's custom, but a lot of the base elements is from Google. So looking at some of this kind of stuff, we have like toggles and different kind of things and checkboxes. So that's just an example. Loaders, we have a lot of loaders, and because the blockchain and the interaction of our platform with other third parties like MetaMask is also a complicated thing. So that's why you need a UX designer to come in and test and work with a tech team. And I work closely with a tech team, and that's what a good UX designer usually does, is work close with a tech team so that everybody's in sync. We're like kind of like the middleman between the design and the product and the technical aspects too. And as well as testing and making sure the QA process is, you know, what we design actually gets built in the right, correct manner. So this is Sketch. You can see from a high level view, we have, you can see you can do multiple huge layouts. I can show you the, see, the publisher is very complicated, where we have lots of, each one of these are pages and the UI changes everywhere. These are all different states, and to test out the MVP. So this is how we rapidly built the whole platform in 1 year with Ram's team, is by building the design system, scaling it, and then using the patterns that we built for one component into the other. Now, sometimes we'll be working on a new part of the platform. We might have to go back and update a little bit of the other one if we adapt or change the Google Material Design System, or our customized version of the system. So that's the high level view of the platform. As you see, we have a lot of different kind of parts of the sites. Trying to think about like what would be most interesting for you guys. I know not everybody is always cares about the design of a system or of a platform, but just to give you a good idea, like, and you guys know, like, it's complicated, right? This Singularity's platform is complicated. We can go into maybe the AGI staking, which we built a little bit later after the AI platform, but you can see the back hood of a lot of the AGI staking is very complicated. There's lots of different interface and information we have to relay to the users so that they clearly understand the time components and the amounts that they've inputted into the stake, and how long the stake is going, and how long and what they'll get out of it. So even this one, it's relatively a simple flow, but there's quite a bit of back-end states that we have to relay to each user type, essentially. We use a lot of tooltips here that have a lot of, that explain all the jargon, not even jargon, it's just like when we're building something like the AGI staking, a lot of the terms are kind of new for people that are new to staking, for example, or not familiar with that particular niche of the internet, or that fintech kind of nature. So even on the UX level, it's not just the UI, but understanding what, like, the common labels, because our user base is global. So obviously the interface is mostly in English, but we have to be cognizant about not just English natives, but people that learn English as a second language, and making sure our labels are very clear and the content. So we spend a lot of time on the content and the labels of the interface. And that's very important for the publisher, because the publisher, that's completely new product, product in the world of AI. It was like how to publish AI to a blockchain, and there's not a whole lot of competitors out there that have done this, because it's kind of the frontier in different ways. So part of my job is to kind of understand that what we're building is very new, which means we have to test a lot, and we're continuously testing. And when we're building something, we also build it so that we can scale. We can't just build everything at once. We build it in parts, so we call that an MVP. Is basically means most viable product, minimal viable product. So we try to get the baseline, and then we do iterative design. So we build on top of what we did before. We add a feature. We don't build all the features at the same time, but we build like the core constructs, and then we kind of keep building the enhancements. So that's why our platform is in beta for a while, and even still, but as you can kind of see now, it's getting a little bit more refined. And when we switch to the Cardano, or add the Cardano blockchain system in, we can, because we have a design system that we can build iteratively onto. So we're not throwing away all our work from the previous blockchain. We can actually easily add another system, maybe even another wallet, or we can add a fiat, like PayPal, crypto to fiat kind of thing, like PayPal. So when we added PayPal, that wasn't too drastic on the UI design. We didn't have to make a new thing. We built it so well that we could scale it really easily. Now, that's not the same for the backend. The backend's a different story, and we'll detail about like how tech design, or how design works with tech. And maybe that will be later with another episode that Marcello will be hosting, and we can talk about that. But I might be going on too long here, but yeah, like I said, my name is Greg Kuebler, UX principal designer here. If you have questions or whatever, feel free to find me on the internet, on LinkedIn, or on Singularity. If there's any interest, I can give my email out later. I don't want to put it on the podcast right now, but maybe in the description or something. So yeah, that's generally my workflow. Like I said, building a design system is not easy. A lot of designers really don't know how to do that, or not familiar with it. Not one that's so big that Singularities has. And the design system kind of scales even to Singularity's homepage, which is, information site, but we use the design system there as well. So it made designing that super quick. We pretty much redesigned it, launched a new version out in like a month. So that's the power of a design system. And design systems aren't easy because they're ever changing, and how do you change the libraries and all that stuff. And again, like I said, we'll talk about how design gets to tech, and how we how tech uses components and stuff like that. If there's some interest in that, we can talk to Ram's team and explain how we have our daily scrums and how we exchange our information about the design and the progress of the technical development. But yeah, I just want to say thanks. Thanks for having me on here, and hopefully this was a little bit informative about how we do design at SingularityNET. And we're looking forward to a lot of the new projects coming in the future, especially with the Cardano and what Marcello is working on with the Singularity DAO, Sophia DAO. All those things are new, and we're going to be scaling our design right into that. So it'll be kind of fun, and we might even be building up the design team. So we're always on the lookout for new UX designers that are interested in this space and interested in working with us on making the future of decentralized AI.